Hello and welcome to first episode of Pardon My Foul, presented by myself, Justin, and my father, DJ. Hi. All right. So during this podcast, we're going to talk about mainly football, but we're going to kind of try to cover all sports. You're going to kind of learn through us, or learn with us, sports. We're not big on anything else but really football. But we're all going to try to get there. Today we're going to be talking about the AFC North, so possibly some other teams as well. We're going to try to do it in order of what we think the strength is of each division in the AFC North. Debatable, but is the strongest division in the NFL.
So, with that being said, if we're going to go by the strength of the division, I imagine we're going to go Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh or Baltimore at the end.
I mean, just based off of roster, yeah.
Right. Roster talent. We won't talk about coach talent.
Yeah,
we
coaching
will,
talent.
We will later.
Yeah. Coaching talent, Browns are nowhere up near the first two. But yeah, so I guess let's start with my least favorite team. We can start with the Ravens.
So I can see how this is going to go. You tell the people that we're going to go in order of the strength, and then we're going to go to the least favorite team. So don't listen to him.
Oh, you're the one that said we're going to go in order of the strength of the teams.
So Baltimore.
Yeah. I don't think Lamar Jackson's a top 5 quarterback. I barely put him in the top 10, to be honest.
I don't know that I would put him in the top 10. Only his he can run.
Yeah, that's about it.
He doesn't have any real receiving cores. I mean, he's got Odell Beckham Jr., and I think we both agree that Odell Beckham had one good catch. He has had some 1,000-yard seasons, but when's the last time he played a full season?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 2 ACL tears back-to-back?
Yeah.
And he only went to the Rams because he was chasing a ring.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay that they have on the other Ravens as well, they're not bad, but they're definitely not, the other wide receiver ones in this division. You know, you've got, Pickens on the, is it Pickens or Deontay Johnson?
Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens.
You got Pickens, you got Chase, you got... Well,
Amari Cooper.
When we get to it, Cincinnati, I mean, I think they have 3 wide receiver ones. But that's my opinion.
No, Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. I mean, they have both, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, they have Mark Andrews, who on any team minus the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be starting tight end and is still considered the second best in the league. Maybe George Kittle. You could debate that one all day long. Their running back game is led by solely Lamar Jackson. And even then, he's injury prone.
Right. Well, it's because he's running around. I mean, they do have J.K. Dobbins, but their running game is running back by committee, and I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wish they would have kept Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake last year did decent.
Yeah.
Especially coming off of his ankle break with the Raiders. But we could look at their defense too. Last year they were rated top 3. They were rated 3rd behind the Bills and the 49ers. It's led by Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey, yeah, he's a great cornerback, but I would challenge any of you listeners to name any 4 more players on the defense in the Ravens. That's not Ray Lewis. We're doing current players.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, they're a good defense because they all play well together. But you're gonna have people in the division, in the AFC North, Myles Garrett, Darius Smith, T.J. Watt. Oh God, who's that? Who's the edge from the Bengals? I can't remember his name. You've got all these top end people, and then you've got a Ravens defense that, they're good because they play well together, but you can't name any of them. They're not any high-end named players.
But they don't have to be.
No.
It's a team sport, and they're playing as a team, and that's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say, obviously, they got Justin Tucker, best kicker to ever play NFL football.
Well,
No, he's best kicker to ever play NFL football. But past that, honestly, I actually do have the Ravens coming in last in the division, going 9-8.
really?
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson got a good solid 5 games, and then he's hurt. And Tyler Huntley's coming in. And speaking about Tyler Huntley, last year when he did come in for Lamar Jackson, he did very well.
Yes.
But he's just a replica of Lamar Jackson. That's why he does so very well. Is they have that their entire play call and their entire sheet is based off of Lamar Jackson running the ball.
Right. No, I
And
I'm
everybody
with you on that.
and everybody's saying it's because he doesn't have a wide receiver. He has a wide receiver now. He has OBJ. I don't like him, but he is still a solid wide receiver. Zay Flowers, they drafted him in the first round this year.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Zay Flowers. I don't like that he is their wide receiver 3. I do think he will eventually take up that wide receiver 1 spot, but I don't think it's going to be with Lamar Jackson. And that
he's gonna move up to the number 1 spot.
probably
Game
this
3
year.
or 4 when
Yeah.
OBJ tears his ACL again or
Yep.
has a temper tantrum.
You see another AJ Brown meltdown.
Yeah. All right. So 9-8, he says, for Baltimore Ravens. I think it's generous.
I just don't think any team in that division is going to go under 500.
I can give you that.
I think they are the division to watch when it comes to playoff time. I really do. I am a firm believer that there is a heavy chance that all 4 teams could make the playoffs.
It's an outside shot.
It's a very long shot, but I do think there is a chance, and at least 3 of them will make it. And I think the top 3 of where I'm going to go is the ones that are going to make it. I don't think the Steelers are going to make it that far.
No, they might get a wild card game.
Yeah.
And, as far as the Steelers, I think Pickett is going to be a really good quarterback, but not this year.
No.
Him and Pickens, they started showing some chemistry last year. Pickett to Pickens, that's going to be the saying.
Yeah.
And they really upgraded their O-line this year with their draft pick. Who'd they draft? No, they didn't. They didn't draft him. Who'd they get? That guy, Isaac Samolo from Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they did good. And they got the offensive lineman. I wrote it down. I don't know who it was. Broderick Jones. So I think those 2 are really going to upgrade that offensive line, which was really lacking last year.
Yeah, other than the fact that the Broderick Drone is the backup to Dan Moore.
He'll move up. I really think he's going to move up. You were at the house last year watching one of the Pittsburgh games, and you're like, "What's up with Najee Harris? He runs 20 miles a run, but he don't go anywhere."
Yeah.
I think he's afraid to run across the line.
Yeah.
He was always moving his feet, but
He just had issues last year. I think this year, Najee Harris, we'd have I think honestly this year we do have a breakout year for Kenny Pickett and Najee Harris.
yeah.
I think Najee Harris finishes the top 5 running back, and especially in fantasy. I think he finishes the top 5. Maybe in the league, maybe if we're looking at pure running, yes. But even pure running, I mean, you're facing off against people like Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs. It's going to be hard for you to be a top 5, especially with the running backs that are in there right now. I mean, it's crazy. Speaking about running backs, did you hear about the contracts that aren't being produced?
I've seen something about that, and that
So
running backs are like, well, why don't you just get rid of us?
yeah, I mean, well, Tony Pollard finally signed his franchise tag, but Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs have not. And you've got people on TikTok, or not TikTok, Twitter, talking about it. Saquon Barkley saying it is what it is. Christian McCaffrey coming out and talking about it.
Right.
Najee Harris had something to say. And you have all these NFL analysts who are like, oh well, I've always been saying draft a running back, play him to his potential. don't give him a contract, draft a running back. Awesome. But you look at somebody like the New York Giants. You know, I know we're getting off a little off topic here, but New York Giants, they've Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley. And their team is led by Saquon Barkley. You can't deny that. Saquon Barkley was absolutely killing it last year.
Right.
And the fact that they're just trying to franchise tag him and not give him a contract, even though running back shelf life is very low, it's insane. You know, give him the contract because you know he wants to play there. Give him the contract for another 4 or 5 years and see where that takes you. You look at somebody like Derrick Henry, who's 29 years old right now. I believe he's 29. He's been in the league for 7 years. You know, he's old, but he's not Saquon Barkley. Or Saquon Barkley's not Derrick Henry age, and he's doing just as much as Derrick Henry is.
In a variety of capacities.
Yeah.
So
Derrick Henry can't really. I mean, he can catch the ball, but he can't really catch the ball. But Saquon Barkley, you could put him out at a wideout spot, and he's gonna do just fine.
right.
Especially because the Giants don't have wideouts. I'm sorry, they don't. Anyways, we'll get back to the AFC North.
There might be some tangents here every once in a while. I really like what Pittsburgh's doing with their defense now.
Oh, yeah.
And that Joey Porter pickup, if he's anything like his dad, they're on their way back with their defense.
I mean, honestly, the Steelers have never had a bad defense.
They're not what they were in years past, but yeah, it's a solid defense. I'll give it that. It's.
I mean, T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter. You know, Minkah Fitzpatrick too. You know, he's putting himself into the solid conversation.
Right.
You know, and obviously T.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year. You know, tied for most sacks in NFL history.
It's that last name, I think, that Watt.
Oh yeah.
So, but some of those guys are getting up there in age too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Cameron Hayward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got them finishing 10-7.
10-7. I would not. I would.
I do.
I wouldn't put them above 9-8.
I do.
And I only say that because of who they're playing. You know, they're division opponents.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're division opponents. It's just playing each other. It's such a rough division for the division opponents to play. You're going to go 10-7. I'm going to say 9-8.
You know what? No, I'll go 9-8 as well. I just have them finishing above the Ravens for sure. I think consensus here with us, the next best team in this division is the Browns.
As far as roster.
Yeah, as far as roster, I mean, obviously, we have an issue when it comes to coaching. But I do think this year we're going to have something different, you know, because we got the Eagles defensive coordinator this year.
Yes.
Who I really like that pickup. Kevin Stefanski, look, my cousin hates Kevin Stefanski, and he is a Browns fan as well. Coming from Freddie Kitchens.
It's an upgrade.
It is definitely an upgrade. And I do believe Kevin Stefanski is on the hot seat. Andrew Berry is shoving that down his throat. You know, you better do something this year or you're gone.
Absolutely. I mean, Andrew Berry's given him just so many weapons, and use Nick Chubb the way you should use Nick Chubb.
Especially now that Kareem Hunt's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Well, they didn't use Kareem Hunt anyways.
They used him more than they should have. Personally, I think Kareem Hunt is we need a fourth down conversion. Cool, send Kareem Hunt out.
Yeah, I never got that. And that was my opinion, though. Let's talk about Njoku.
Oh, I love Njoku.
I think it's going to be a breakout year.
Yeah.
He, in my opinion, because Watson likes tight ends, and Njoku's been coming around every year, I think he's going to give Kelsey a run for his money.
No, I don't.
I do.
The only reason I say I don't is just because it's still Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. And because Patrick Mahomes has no wideouts as well. They've got MVS, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore. Sky Moore could develop this year. MVS could develop a little bit more, but MVS is a little old. Kadarius Toney is injury prone. So I mean, you don't have a running back in Kansas City. So the offense
no running back. What's with the running back situation around?
It's a committee.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Isaiah Pacheco is good in my opinion, but he's a pure running back. He's not a catching back. And that's the issue. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire just doesn't know how to hold on to the ball. That's why you saw him running with his both hands covering it last year because he drops it so much.
Right.
I don't think. Hate to say it, but I don't think anybody's going to pass Travis Kelce until and knock on wood until Travis Kelce gets hurt.
Gets hurt or retired.
Yeah,
I just think Njoku's going to have a really good year.
Yeah, but then you're looking at people like him passing up George Kittle, Mark Andrews, Dalton Schultz. You're looking at T.J. Hawkinson. You're looking at him passing up all these people who have definitely made a name for themselves and could definitely show up a little bit more than he can. He did have a good year last year.
He did.
But I think the problem with Njoku is if you look at his tapes, he's not the best pass blocker. He's not a good lineman per se.
Okay.
He's a good catching tight end. Mm-hmm. But you look at somebody like Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, they're going to block for their quarterback very, very well. Whereas Njoku's going to not going to let, but is going to get passed by on the defensive ends. I think that's his one downfall is if a play doesn't call for him, he kind of stands out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
We'll watch that this year. Definitely going to watch that. What do you think about the Elijah Moore pickup?
I do truly believe Elijah Moore will be the wide receiver 1 by the end of the year.
So do I.
Amari Cooper still is one of the best route runners in the league, but he is old. I think that's his biggest downfall is he is getting old. And coming from the training camps, Deshaun Watson and Elijah Moore already have a really good relationship.
Yes.
You see Deshaun Watson passing Elijah Moore the ball more than anybody else in training camp. I think that's going to be Deshaun Watson's favorite person to pass to.
Absolutely. Elijah Moore is going to have. I think Njoku's going to have a breakout year. Elijah Moore is going to have a breakout year.
And Nick Chubb's still going to have 1,000-yard season.
And Nick Chubb's just going to do Nick Chubb things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just give me the ball, and I'm going to go that way.
Yeah. I do, and that's the thing, too, is, Elijah Moore's still on a rookie contract.
I did not realize that.
He was drafted 2021. He is still on a rookie contract. So if the Browns can develop him, and actually do something, maybe like, what's his name? Josh Gordon.
Right.
Being just as good as Josh Gordon, if not better. I think Elijah Moore has a career in Cleveland, especially if Deshaun Watson does decide to stay. If Deshaun Watson decides to stay, I think that team has a very good chance with the next couple of years to actually win a bowl.
So
depending on the coaching.
And, again, this is just my opinion. Brissett he was holding his own last year.
Oh, my God.
And, those last, 6, 7 games, Deshaun Watson came in. I think they should have let Deshaun Watson play with the practice squad.
Oh, yeah.
And shake the rust off and really come out this year. Hopefully, those last 7 games and whatever he's been working on this summer, because we don't know what he's really capable of right now.
Yeah.
How long has it been since he played a full season?
Yeah. I do say I do wish the best for Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he did a lot for Cleveland, especially in a time that we needed something.
Oh, yeah.
But even talking about the last 6 or 7 games that Deshaun Watson did play, he had, the NFL put sanctions on him that he could not practice with the team. It was essentially a no contact with the team, so he didn't have any relationship with anybody.
Which, yeah.
So he came out that 6th game, he had 1 week of practice. And that first game that he got to play, he came out with 1 week of practice, and he threw picks and whatnot, but he hadn't played in 2 years.
Exactly, and that was my thought process. Let him practice.
Yeah.
Let him, that, and, is that an owner thing where the owner's like, I got a lot of money in this guy, get him on the field, or was that a Kevin Stefanski thing?
No, it was definitely probably an owner thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a $250 million guarantee, you're not going to put him on the bench for
Right.
Jacoby Brissett, unfortunately.
Right.
I do think this year he does have, his Houston-type seasons again. And I do think he finishes as the top 5 quarterback. And I do actually see him and the Browns making the AFC Championship game, if not the semi-playoff game, whatever you want to call it.
The division round.
Yeah, the divisional round.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be rough because there's a lot of the AFC is so strong, and
Oh, yeah.
In fact, our next quarterback, when we get to him, that's going to be Before we move on from the Browns,
Now let's talk about their defense.
that's where I was going.
I mean, their defense last year, their front seven, especially their front four, was absolute dog. I mean, it was bad. You had Myles Garrett, and that was about it. Jadeveon Clowney didn't do anything. He was also hurt half the season.
He had 9 sacks last year. But
No. You don't put somebody opposite of Myles Garrett and expect him to do nothing.
right,
Right.
And but last year I think all their linebackers got hurt.
Yeah.
Their linebacker core was just decimated. So to get all them back, I'm excited to see Taki. I think he's going to be a good player.
So yeah, that front four right now to me is insane. Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, Siaka Ika, Myles Garrett, and even their backups are insane right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up the depth chart here just to be sure we're talking about the right people. Siaka Ika, Maurice Hurst, Okoronkwo, behind Zadarius Smith, Alex Wright, Isaiah Thomas, I believe is from what I've seen, had a little bit more pep in his step than Alex Wright, but I guess we'll see how that goes.
That front four is just the addition of Tomlinson this year.
Oh yeah,
Obviously, can you guys tell we like the Browns?
yeah.
And then their
But even their cornerback room,
their backfield,
I think their cornerback room, with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, I think that's Grant Delpit,
as long as Denzel Ward gets back to his
Oh yeah,
self.
if he gets back to himself, that he's a top 5 cornerback.
And then you got Delpit and Thornhill, which are just
Oh, and Thornhill knows what it takes to get a ring, so
Yeah.
he already understands the job. I do think the Browns are going to be a top 5 defense this year.
easy.
Yeah,
Easy.
especially now that we do have the new defensive coordinator from the Eagles, and last year the Eagles defense was absolutely insane as well.
Yes.
So I think it's just going to be a big upgrade. They always say defenses win championships. So
And last year, I had San Francisco on my defense on my fantasy team. I'm really looking at the Browns defense.
oh yeah,
Because they're going to, with that lineup, as long as it stays healthy, they're going to score a lot of fantasy points.
oh yeah, yeah, and then. So I do have the Browns going 12-5.
12-5. Now you have to remember. So
I think they lose to the Bengals once, win to the Bengals once. I think each game minus. I think they win to the Steelers both times and the Ravens both times. But I think the Ravens could also be a toss up. I think they
that's always a tough game.
Yeah.
You have to remember the Browns' first 5 games: Cincinnati, Baltimore, Tennessee. There's a bye, and then there's San Francisco.
Yeah, and they have a super early bye, which sucks.
Yeah, they have an early bye, and the first 5 weeks is the toughest in the league.
Cincinnati, I think the first game they lose against Cincinnati. I do think they lose their first game. Their second week against Pittsburgh, I think they win. Titans, they win.
And that's on a Monday night. They get the second Monday night game. That's good.
Yeah. Titans, they win against. Baltimore, I think they win against.
And then San Francisco, that's
They
a
lose.
that's a tough game.
I think they lose only because of the defense. The amount of weapons that San Francisco has.
Well,
insane.
see, and that's the thing, because San Francisco's offense is incredible.
Oh yeah, even with their quarterback situation.
Right. But that's going to be our weapons against their weapons, and I think that's going to be a really good game.
Oh, so do I. Colts, they win against.
Oh yeah.
Seattle, I think that'll be a difficult game just because Seattle's offense is stacked.
Yeah. We don't need to go through the whole schedule though.
No, yeah.
Really.
But I got them 12-5.
12-5, 12-5, 11-6.
I think it could go back and forth between 12-5 and 11-6.
I only say that because of the next team we have coming up.
Yeah. Obviously, we have the Bengals in first. It's kind of hard to not put them in first in this division.
Just they're stacked. They're stacked. You got Joe Burrow. throw into Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins.
Yep.
I had Joe Burrow and T. Higgins last year, and I get so frustrated because T. Higgins is so talented, but Jamar Chase or Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow just has so many options,
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're the best wide receiver core in the league.
Right.
And there's the argument there that Seattle is just as good, with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and now with JSN. And I'm actually, when we get to the NFC West, I'm excited to talk about JSN because I do think, and I actually saw a video about some guy making the prediction that JSN will overtake DK Metcalf for that wide receiver 1 spot.
Really?
Yeah, I would like to say that that's not true, but I can see it being true.
DK Metcalf is so strong.
DK Metcalf's an absolute animal, but
he's a beast.
I think that's going to be his downfall as well. But going back to the Bengals, I mean, yeah, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Irv Smith Jr. I like that pickup from the Bengals, going away from Hayden Hurst and coming on to Irv Smith, especially because Irv Smith is I think he's underrated. He wasn't used highly in Minnesota. Now with Minnesota having T.J. Hawkinson, they obviously didn't need him.
Right.
And Hayden Hurst going to, I believe, the Panthers. They needed a tight end, and Irv Smith. Same thing with Njoku. Irv Smith is a very good catching tight end, but from what I've seen, he's not a huge blocking tight end. Which I do believe will also be the downfall of the Bengals is their O-line. Yes, they had Orlando Brown Jr. pick up, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But looking at everybody else, they're still rocking the same people from when Joe Burrow took a career high in the NFL amount of sacks. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I do worry about their offensive line, but he gets rid of the ball so fast and he's so accurate.
Oh yeah.
And you just dump it off at Mixon if he wants. Mixon, I mean, he at any time can have a 200-yard game.
Yeah. But I mean, even talking about Mixon, he's still in that. He still has legal trouble going on. He is getting old. I do think Mixon is going to take a step back this year, just because of his age.
How about that Travion Williams and Chase Brown?
And they got rid of Samaj Perine.
Right. So.
And I didn't like that. Samaj was definitely a very good backup.
We'll have to watch this Chase Brown, Travion Williams. And see how they fill in. So their defense,
led by that's his name, Trey Hendrickson. Is the right defensive end. Sam Hubbard also, I know last year did pretty well, but they did get rid of Eli Apple. Was he on? He was on the Bengals, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
They got rid of their star cornerback, and I think that's going to be an issue for them. They've got Cam Taylor-Britt, Chidobe Awuzie, who I know Awuzie isn't bad either, but I think with the amount of talent that the wide receiver room's in the NFL now, it's very hard to find people that are actually going to be able to cover somebody like Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Or Tyreek Hill.
Well, so we have. So let's just think about the last few teams that we've covered. We've covered these 3 receivers here. The Browns with
Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and DPJ.
Right. And then, you throw in Njoku if he runs a route. Going to what you're saying, it's hard to find those safeties and cornerbacks that can cover.
Oh, yeah.
And they just got to stop them on the line, I guess, or get to the quarterback. And that's, like you said, the offensive line. They got to stop people from getting to that quarterback.
Yeah. I think, honestly, the best defense this year when it comes to stopping the run is going to be the Browns. But I think when it comes to actual covering the wide receivers, I do think the Steelers will take that just because of Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
I mean, like myself, and, this is a very, very big statement. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick, when he does fully develop into what he can be, I think he is going to be the next Troy Polamalu in Pittsburgh.
That's saying a lot.
That is
That's
saying a lot. But watching what he's doing right now in the league is insane.
Right. I personally, I hate when he goes to Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But then, you got Shooter McPherson. Evan McPherson, but Shooter. And I mean, people are putting him up in the top 3 kickers. But yeah. And then so with the Bengals, I do have the Bengals going 13-4.
13-4. So who?
And I think that one's a set 13-4 for me. I don't think that one's with the Browns 12-5 or 11-6. I think the Bengals are 13-4 this year.
So
I
the
think
AFC North is playing the AFC South and the NFC West this year, right? They're playing the Rams. They're.
I mean, I could tell you who they're losing to. I think they're losing. I think the Bengals are losing to the Browns once. They are playing Patrick Mahomes. I think they lose to Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know. We'll have to go over when we get to Kansas City. We'll have to go over their defense this year.
Lose. Yeah, no, I mean.
Yeah, they're playing AFC South and NFC West.
Yeah, I think so. I think they lose to the Browns once. They lose to the Niners, lose to the Bills, and lose to Kansas City in the last week. I think that's exactly who they lose to, and I think they come back and they beat the Browns the one time.
And unfortunately, those teams are the teams they're going to have to get through to get to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Can't wait to talk about Buffalo.
Yeah.
I know. So, all right. So, 13-4, he says.
I think it's a very solid record. I mean, looking at the rest of their schedule, it's.
I think it's a stretch. I think they're 12-5 or 11-6 as well. But, like we said, these are just our opinions. Take them as you want. We'll know come week 1.
Yep. So that's going to call it for the AFC North podcast. Tune in for the next podcast. We're going to be talking about the NFC West, who I believe is the next strongest division with the Niners, the Seahawks, Rams don't really count, and the Cardinals don't really count. But
he thinks it's a stronger division with only 2 good teams. But hey, that's.
You said what? The AFC East?
I don't remember.
I think you said the AFC East was better than
West.
the NFC West.
I don't remember. We'll have to look on the texts. So thanks for listening, watching, and if you like what we're doing, and it's going to get better, subscribe, and we will see you guys later.
Thank you.